the one thing I'm going to challenge you to do is to step into the next version and the next iteration of your identity as a business owner and make decisions as that person. The rate thing, I really appreciate this question. I want to acknowledge it. Number two, I talk about setting your rates a lot because one of the big challenges we have in our industry in general, and I think people just who want to help and sell services, is that we let our feelings be the thing that dictates what our rates are going to be. And when we start to set a strategy related to our pricing, we have to factor in all the things that go into that. What is the outcome that you deliver? What is the value that you deliver? What's the overhead of your practice? How much education do you have? How much risk do you carry? What can the market bear in your particular area? How much experience do you have? How much demand do you have? These are all tangible things that inform what your rate should be. And once we've looked at the tangible components, then we step back and go, how do I feel about it? But we have to make a decision around what our rates are based on what it costs us to deliver care or deliver our service. And then we can talk about how we feel about it. So is it a mindset thing? Your mindset's definitely going to play into how you feel about it. The one thing I'm going to challenge you to do is to step into the next version and the next iteration of your identity as a business owner and make decisions as that person. So if you are someone committed to moving your business forward, the person who moves your business forward is going to look at your rates as a puzzle that you are solving in the growth of your practice, and they are going to emotionally regulate their feelings alongside it. For us to grow, we need capital coming in. AI and models of care, risk of it being outdated. Yeah, it is. This is what's exciting about where we're at right now, is that for the first 15 years of being in practice, I got away with having one model of care. And then all of a sudden we started to see that fall apart. And then we moved into COVID and health consumers went, whoa, we want to experience care entirely differently. I want to experience outcome-based care. I want access to a strategy. I want a transformational process. Consumers suddenly had way higher expectations of what was going to come out of a clinical transaction. And so there was a massive shift that took place. And now we're in an era where AI has commoditized information. You can access information at your fingertips in a hot second. You can have an online program created by AI for free when you ask the right question. So is the old model of care going to be obsolete? It's obsolete every 10 seconds. The key differentiator and the thing that's most important is that we make a transition to be selling strategy, not our services. And in doing so, we are constantly looking towards how we can improve the delivery of strategic care. And when you do that, and you're not trying to sell your time, you're not trying to sell an online program, you're not trying to sell smaller things or think about what else you could sell, but really lean into delivering strategy and leveraging AI to make it more efficient and more fun and more accessible to patients, you will always be on the cutting edge of where practice is going. This is such a great question, and it's a question I wish I had asked when I was a student. We'd have people who would come into our business classes and into our program, and they would just espouse how much money they could be making. No one talked about how much profit they actually had. No one talked about what their overhead looked like. They just talked about revenue. And I didn't understand enough about business at that point to really drill into the question. And I started to look at the numbers recently because someone handed me a fee guide that had been published by their professional association. And I went, oh, this is so interesting. How does the professional association set these fees? I want to reverse engineer it to understand what their benchmarks are. And they said, oh, well, every year they ask the profession, how do you feel about increasing our rates? And if we feel good about it, then we'll all increase them. And this is kind of where we collectively landed, and we got this published fee guide. And so I reverse engineered this fee guide, and it's based on, charging $225 or $250 for an intake, and then follow-up visits at $150. You can put in your own numbers. And when I started to plug in these numbers, I knew this critical piece, which is for naturopathic patients, functional medicine patients, chiro patients, the average number of touch points they'll have before those individuals will leave the practice is 4. And so it was really easy to start to run this math. And what was alarming when I started to look at this is that for a practitioner, practicing in this manner, they need to acquire 237 patients a year in order to make the math work, in order to earn $100,000 income, which is frankly it's an excellent question, and it's an excellent benchmark in terms of income after having 8 years in school and regulations and overhead and all of the things that we need to have in place. 237 patients per year, which is nearly unheard of in our industry. So, this idea of is AI disrupting our care? What should we be most concerned about? The systems like AI have simply revealed where we are already broken. And one of the areas where we are already broken is in deploying this model of just simply selling our time for money. You can see when you start to look at numbers like that, it's just simply not going to add up. Okay, so let's talk about this idea of raising our rates, but only for the new people. Or what do I do about this one family who I've been seeing for the last 30 years and I don't want to let them go? So this is again where one of the boundaries I want you to be able to set for yourself is just to be aware of when your feelings are creeping into what should be business decisions. And listen, this is easy for me to say because I'm not in your business and I don't know Mrs. Smith and I wasn't there when her kids were born and I don't have that emotional connection, which is why it's your job as a leader in your business to go, I'm pretty sure that this is a math question, not an emotional question. So the first piece I'm just going to say on this is it's your job to make that differentiation. And frankly, you might have to protect yourself from it a little bit. It is so much easier to make exceptions to the rule when you've established a rule in your practice. And one of the things that's going to be very challenging for you is to charge some people one price and other people not the same price. So when you've got those regulars and you're not quite sure that you want to charge them where everybody else is at, if you really need to, you can make an exception. But the reality is, and we've done this with hundreds of our clients, is that when you make a change in your fees and you're compassionate about how you communicate it to your audience, it is extremely rare that anyone, including your regulars, are going to push back. And in fact, what we have found with the practitioners in our world is that when they invite their audience to hear that there's going to be a change in terms of those fees, it's actually the regulars who say to them, I can't believe you charged what you did for so long. I'm happy for you that you've made that change. It's no problem at all. So it's really problematic for a business for you to lock people in at the old rate, and definitely for you to communicate that people can get locked in at that old rate. There's so many variables in your business that you can't control. So I would actually lead with compassionate communication. And at some point, somewhere along the journey, it might be that you two are not the right fit for each other anymore. And that is actually just part of the cycle of business and the cycle of growth as a practitioner as well. This is a really smart question because one of the biggest challenges that we see with practitioners in general is that there's always something getting in the way of building out their email list. So an email list is a whole other asset you have in your business, and it's something really important and really powerful that you could sell or you can leverage in different ways. Here's where I'm going to challenge this idea of I just need to get a lead magnet out the door really quickly. If that's because you're delivering a talk to 250 people on Saturday and you want to have a handout for them to use so that you can collect everybody's email address, then that's really great thinking. And I'm going to encourage you to pull that together. If this is the lead magnet that you're going to put on your website, that you're hoping to entice people into your funnel, that's going to drive the growth of your business and the sustainability of your family, then quick and dirty might not necessarily be the approach that we want to take in terms of pulling that lead magnet together. So if we're looking for something a little bit more strategic that's meant to pull people into your practice in the long term, the lead magnet, or what we call conversion event that works best, is actually to leverage something such as an evergreen webinar, or you can deliver a live webinar once a month. And it works really well because it enables you to deliver a compelling training. It's a reason for people to opt in. And then when they do opt in, it's not this static ebook that they're going to get around to never reading. It's actually a dynamic opportunity to engage with you. They get to see you smile. They get to hear you talk. They get to hear how well you know the material. They get to potentially ask you questions if you're delivering it live. So of all the different ways that we could bring people onto our list that actually move your practice forward, a webinar live or evergreen, meaning it's available all the time on demand for people, is the most effective tool to pick.